The story begins with the plane fighting a terrible storm, where our main character, whose name was Chuck, was sitting calmly in the toilet when suddenly the pressure of the plane started to drop, because of which the toilet door opened and a dangerous explosion happened after a fire broke out in the cargo. The pilot made Chuck sit on the seat because an emergency landing had to be done in the ocean. The pilot gave him a life raft and told him to fasten the belt. The plane started falling down very fast. Now the plane was about 3,000 meters away from the ocean. Just then, Chuck found out that the pocket watch given by his girlfriend had fallen down. The pilot told him to wear the life jacket, but it was on the other side. Because of the pocket watch, Chuck opened his seatbelt and while stumbling went to pick it up. But as soon as he picked up the watch and tried to take the jacket, he could not even move because the angle of the plane changed. The pilot saw that he was not on his seat, so he opened his safety belt. Because of the strong shocks, the pilot was badly injured. The pilot slowly touched the plane on the surface of the ocean, but because of the wrong landing, water started filling the cabin. Because his safety belt was not fastened, Chuck's life was saved. Just then suddenly the upper part of the plane burst open and the ocean water started filling inside the plane. But by luck, Chuck had the inflatable raft in his hand. But as soon as he opened it, the part connected to the raft got stuck in the plane. The sinking airplane started pulling Chuck down with the raft. But Chuck was lucky because the rope connected to the raft suddenly broke, and in this way the life raft pulled him out of the mouth of death. Finally, Chuck safely reached the surface of the ocean. He used all his strength to climb onto the raft and held the edge of the raft tightly till his last breath. But slowly he started drifting toward the engine, which was still running. Seeing danger behind him, he immediately closed his eyes. Just then the engine caught fire and the wave of the explosion threw him, and he fell back into the ocean again. The whole plane slowly sank into the ocean with a loud blast, but the danger was still not over. Chuck not only had to face the strong ocean storm, but also had to bear the huge waves rising one after another. He just kept holding the rope of the life raft tightly. No one knows how much time passed like this, and suddenly the air of the life raft went out. The sharp rocks tore it apart. This meant that he had finally reached the shore. Gathering his last strength, he dragged the life raft to the shore. The next morning, when the sunlight fell on his face, he felt that he was alive and had drifted to a small island. But even after escaping from the mouth of death, he got no relief because he did not know what dangerous things he would have to face in this unknown place. While walking, he kept picking up the scattered things from the plane and started searching inside the island for people like him. But when he looked all around, he was welcomed only by silence that never seemed to end. It was clear that he was trapped on such an island that was not even on the map of the world. Is anyone here? So that he would not get trapped and die here, he started thinking of different ways to save himself. But at this time, he had no useful way except writing a help sign on the beach. Soon the darkness of night spread, and he was still hoping that some passing boat would see him. But as the night kept growing, his hope slowly turned into fear because of the silence all around. Hearing the sounds of very dangerous animals of the jungle, he kept trembling in fear. The next day, he made a temporary resting place from the things he had collected and started checking the items taken out from the plane. Now, except for a pocket watch given by his girlfriend, nothing useful was left with him. Thinking about the moments spent with his girlfriend, he regretted even more coming on this plane. In fact, before leaving for a business trip, Kelly had given Chuck a pocket watch so that as soon as she returned on Christmas, both of them could marry each other. But a sudden plane accident stopped this marriage right here. Even when all his family members had accepted that Chuck had died in this accident, he was still alive with determination. But on this deserted island, food and water had become a big problem, and no one knew how long Chuck would survive. He collected many parcels of his company again, but he decided not to open them because for him, it was the honesty of his work. Even if he was stuck on an unknown island, he still did not want to break the trust of the customers. The help signs that he had made on the beach yesterday had already been erased by the waves of the ocean. He had to write help again using some broken pieces of wood. Slowly, the desire to stay alive was growing stronger in Chuck's heart. He knew that if he had to get out of here, he had to stay alive at any cost. But on this lonely small island, except hard coconuts, he found nothing to eat, and because he did not have any tool to open the coconuts, so opening the coconuts became a very difficult task for him. Then with a sharp stone, he finally broke the coconut and started tasting its water, which at that moment was like nectar for him. But he was not satisfied with only coconuts. To fill his stomach, Chuck decided to explore other parts of this small island. He wanted to climb the highest peak here and see everything, but the sharp mountain rocks made his path difficult, so he cut the cloth of his pants with a stone. He added leaves in it and made a pair of shoes. But when he reached the top of the mountain, he found out that it was truly a deserted island. The ocean was spread far and wide all around, but besides him, no other human was visible. When he was thinking in disappointment how he could save his life, just then something strange in the distance caught his attention. Without thinking, he ran toward that thing. He thought that it was some pilot who had survived like him, but when Chuck turned that pilot and saw, he found that he had died a long time ago. With a sad heart, he dragged the pilot's dead body onto the island and started collecting some useful things from him. He kept with him a pair of shoes that were still wearable, a torch that could still light up, and a wallet that had become useless. After this, he dug a grave for the pilot and buried his body in it and wrote the date of his death on a rock. In the evening, Chuck was sitting on the beach looking at his shoes. There was a strange sadness in his heart. He felt that maybe next time the one lying in that grave would be himself. Because of this, Chuck could not sleep at night. He understood that if he kept sitting like this doing nothing, then his death was certain. So the next day, he learned the art of surviving in the jungle. He collected the dew settled on the leaves of the trees and stored it in a coconut shell because he needed clean water to drink. He sharpened a wooden stick and made a spear to catch fish, even though all this was foolish. But this constant effort did not let him lose hope. That same night, while using the toilet, he saw a light. He shouted loudly to get the attention of that boat. He felt that now he would not have to stay here anymore. He gave a signal with the torch so that someone would see him. But because of the long distance, that small light was of no use. As that light slowly disappeared from his sight, his heart filled with anger and helplessness. So the next morning, as soon as the sun rose, he impatiently took the torn raft and moved in the direction of that ship because it was the only hope of escape he had found after many weeks of effort. He was not ready to lose it like this at any cost, although he somehow wanted to cross the ocean. But again and again, he was defeated by the force of the waves. He showed courage countless times, but every time the waves of the ocean pushed him back. But still, he was not ready to give up. He tried a lot, but finally the waves of the ocean swallowed him inside. As soon as he went under the water, suddenly his thigh hit a sharp sea rock, and a sharp pain made his thigh covered in blood. At this time, he had no strength left to move forward. He just dragged the broken raft and returned to the shore in a very bad condition. In the evening, suddenly, a strong storm and heavy rain started in the sky, because of which the troubles of Chuck, who was already injured, increased even more. With the help of the raft, he could only push the company goods. Then, to save himself from the rain, with his bleeding leg, he started looking for some other place. Just then, he found a small cave, and to keep himself conscious, he drank a few sips of dirty rainwater. Almost completely tired, his injured body could not bear anymore, and he fell unconscious on the ground. As soon as the battery of the torch kept behind him finished, it also sank into darkness. The next day, Chuck woke up again with sharp pain. Signs of worms appeared in the wound on his leg. In this deserted place, if it was not treated, then he would have to face even bigger danger. To get even a little hope of staying alive, he had to leave the stubbornness of his mind and decided to open those parcels. In the packages, he found a dozen videotapes, a volleyball decorated like a gift, a long dress of a beautiful woman, and a pair of skates that looked the most stylish. But he decided not to open the last parcel, maybe because he did not want to feel disappointed, or maybe because he wanted to keep one hope saved for himself. He put the foam used in the packing of the parcel on his wound. Then, by opening the laces of the shoes, he tied a temporary bandage. The blades of the skates became his most useful tools, and from the black net of the long dress, he made a simple fishing net. With the help of the fishing tool, after many days, he was finally able to eat a full meal for the first time. So that swallowing raw food would not be difficult, Chuck decided to light a fire by rubbing wood. But even though he kept trying continuously from morning to evening, and then from evening to the next morning, still the small spark in his heart could not turn into fire as he expected. When both his hands got peeled while rubbing, fresh blood started coming out from them, and Chuck's anger burst out. The difficult life of the island and old injuries had completely broken him. Chuck sat on the shore and cleaned his wounds with water, and the sharp pain made him feel the trouble again. Now staying alive was a question from which he could not run away. The volleyball that he had just thrown in anger was lying near his feet. On it, the fresh red mark of his palm was shining brightly. Just then, a strange thought came into his mind. With his saliva, he made 2 eyes and a small smile on the palm mark. Now that volleyball started looking like a human face, maybe because of living alone for too long, he decided to make this face his friend. He named the volleyball Wilson and kept it with him so that it could stay with him in his life. This scene was a little strange, but at least he did not feel alone. Under Wilson's watch, Chuck felt as if he had got his full strength back. As he rubbed the wood faster and faster, real sparks came out between the pieces of wood. Seeing the burning fire, Chuck became very happy, as if he had won a big war. This fire was not only a good way to cook food for him, but also a good way to send a signal of his presence. At night while eating, he talked to Wilson about his condition. According to his calculation, he had now drifted more than about 4,000 miles away. That meant if he wished that someone would find him, the chance of being found was almost impossible. But now, Chuck had no other way. He just kept trying to stay strong and alive by eating raw food, and because of dirt, his bad teeth swelled and became infected. Finally, because of unbearable pain, he decided that he would remove his tooth. He placed the skate blade on the tooth with one hand and took a stone in the other hand. He thought that one time pain is better than long pain. Then he hit hard. Even after becoming an expert in surviving in the jungle, that shine was no longer in his eyes. Within 4 years, Chuck had become a wild man. Although because he was skilled in catching fish, he did not lack meat, but the hope of living like before had disappeared from his eyes. Now he did not keep any hope of escape, and every day of staying alive was just another day of his loneliness. But after some time, he found a piece of tin near the edge of a rock and brought it to the beach. But as soon as the sea wind knocked that piece of tin down, suddenly an idea came into his mind. If he could use it to cut through the ocean waves, then maybe he could really get a chance to get out of this place. As soon as this idea came, he did not wait even a moment. He wanted to leave this deserted island as soon as possible. Chuck immediately got into action. First of all, he had to make a boat. He collected many branches and put them together. Then he used wild ropes and tied everything together. He even made rope from useless videotape. Now Chuck's mental state started getting worse. He felt that Wilson was watching him and did not want to let him go. Because of this, that night he fought with Wilson. "I cannot talk to you for my whole life. Did you hear that, you cheap volleyball?" Then in anger, he kicked his 4-year-old friend and threw him far away. But when after some time he calmed down, he felt deep regret for his friend Wilson. So in the darkness of the night, he went out to search for Wilson and lovingly put color on his face again. Every day passed like this, and Chuck's wooden boat also became ready. He had prepared everything to leave. Now he was just waiting for the wind in the right direction so that he could push his boat into the ocean. He had also left a sign of being trapped here. He had made a world record of being trapped on this cruel island for more than 10,500 days. When he was carving the last letter, suddenly the wind started blowing in the direction Chuck wanted. Excited, he pushed the boat toward the ocean and then set out to search for life with his old friend Wilson. The ocean waves were still the same, but they could not stop him from returning home. Like the waves of a lake, every wave of the ocean almost drowned him, but he kept cutting through the waves with his efforts. Every time when he escaped from the mouth of death, the happiness of getting out grew even more inside him. When Chuck turned back and saw that small island which had kept him trapped for 4 years, at that moment, there was a strange feeling in Chuck's heart. If he had not been stubborn to face this difficulty, then maybe even today he would be living a life full of loneliness. Although his battle had just begun, he did not know that the dangers waiting ahead would prove to be the most deadly challenge for him. At the very moment when he felt that drifting like this, he would reach a human settlement. Just then, another terrible storm shook him. That night, in heavy rain, it was impossible to open eyes. He lay helpless among the waves holding the boat and kept bearing the attacks. It was the hardest night for him. He was helpless and had left everything to God. The good thing was that Chuck was lucky. Even the terrible storm of that night could not take him away, but his boat was badly damaged, and the most important thing was that his old friend had also separated from the boat because the rope had become loose. By the time he realized this, Wilson had drifted very far away with the ocean waves. He was his only companion with whom he shared his heart, even though he was just a volleyball, but he was his only support. Forgetting everything, he jumped into the ocean and started trying to save him, but the distance was too much and the deep ocean was scaring him again and again. On one side was the boat that was saving his life, and on the other side was his 4-year support Wilson. But now he had no other choice. He just kept watching his old friend going far away in front of his eyes. In this way, he lost his only friend, and once again loneliness and helplessness completely surrounded him. Looking at the almost completely broken wooden boat and watching the ocean spread all around, at this moment Chuck understood very well that now he would never be able to return to his home, because of which the desire to live that had just awakened inside him completely broke. Finally, he threw away the paddle of the boat and decided that now he would just quietly wait for the ocean to swallow him as soon as possible. At the very moment when Chuck prepared himself to face death, just then a whistle sound echoed which he had heard only in his dreams. Gathering his last strength without hope, he turned turned and saw that a huge cargo ship was floating in front of him. Just then, all the people present on the ship also saw Chuck, and in this way, after many years of difficulties, Chuck finally returned to his home again, sitting in a plane. The story of his safely returning alive made him famous in the whole city. But Chuck did not care about all these things. He just wanted to meet his girlfriend, whom he had not seen for 4 years. But when instead of his girlfriend, a man opened the door and stood in front of him, he was shocked. That man said to Chuck, "I am Kelly's husband, Jerry Lovett." Then he found out that the one he kept remembering was now married and had become a mother of a child. Kelly's husband, while calming Chuck, was defending his wife. "Maybe you should give her a little more time." Saying this, he left from there. Seeing Kelly crying, Chuck understood her condition. He understood that it was not her fault. Chuck would probably have done the same. That night, the company gave a feast of sea animals in welcome. Seeing the delicious fish and big crabs kept on the table, at that moment Chuck felt something strange. In his mind were the memories of that island, because the crabs and fish that felt boring on the island had become tasty food here. The next day, Chuck delivered that parcel to its destination, which he had not opened on the island, and also gave a thank you letter. He expressed gratitude that this package had saved his life. To know what was in that strange parcel, which had remained his companion for such a long time, he never opened it. And in this way, this wonderful story ended. So now you tell, how did you like this video? If you liked the video, then go to my channel and also check other videos and tell in the comment which next movie explanation you want to see.